Welcome to the Deep Dive. Okay, so today we're trying to make sense of a world that feels like it's pulling us in a million directions at once. You get the headlines, it's everything from really tough conflict zones to these unexpected moments of just human kindness.
It's quite the mix, isn't it? Our sources really paint this incredibly dynamic picture.
Exactly. And our mission here for this deep dive is basically to be your shortcut. We want to help you get properly informed. We've got a stack of articles, research notes, and we're going to explore these big interconnected themes, global conflict, yeah, but also digital control, political fights, and maybe find some hope too.
We're aiming to pull out the important stuff, the nuggets of knowledge.
So you don't just know what's happening, but maybe get a sense of why it matters and how all these different threads kind of weave together.
And it's fascinating how fast local things can blow up into global concerns. And technology. Wow, it's changing everything, isn't it? Protests, politics, the whole lot.
It really is. The sheer range of human experience in these stories is something else.
It just highlights how connected we all are, really.
Yeah.
Understanding those connections is, well, it's absolutely key.
Totally agree. Okay, so let's kick things off with the immediate impact of conflict.
Yeah.
The human cost, which is just so stark sometimes. Our sources paint a pretty grim picture, starting in Jerusalem. There was a deadly shooting recently, at least 6 people dead, several injured.
Awful. And the authorities are calling it one of the worst attacks in recent months. That wording alone tells you something.
It really does. It's devastating, and the ripples go way beyond the city itself.
And that's a key point, isn't it? How these local tragedies instantly grab global attention. The international community is watching this incredibly closely because everyone understands that each incident like this can just reignite that phrase you hear so often, the painful cycle.
Yeah, and there were these deep, immediate fears that tensions could just spiral across a whole region. It turns one incident into potentially something much, much bigger.
Exactly. Catalyst for broader instability.
And for people living there, the impact is just...
Oh, it's right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our sources talk about real anger over security, people asking, could more have been done?
But the reality is these attacks can happen so fast, frighteningly fast. There's often very little time to react effectively.
Which leads directly to fear, right? Businesses closing down, schools sometimes shut for days. It just completely disrupts daily life.
And thinking bigger picture, if this becomes a trend, the long-term effects are really severe. The potential economic cost, the psychological toll, it could be immense, not just for Jerusalem, but for the wider Middle East.
Yeah, it's not just about the immediate loss. It's about that prolonged instability, the erosion of just normalcy. That affects generations.
Absolutely. Impacts development, well-being, everything down the line.
Okay. Let's shift focus slightly, geographically at least. Middle East to Eastern Europe. The war in Ukraine, tragically, still having a devastating impact. Our sources detail a recent Russian missile strike. It directly hit a major thermal power plant in Kyiv, one of the city's main energy sources. And this is critical, isn't it? With winter in Eastern Europe, losing power isn't just inconvenient. It is, as the sources say, literally a matter of survival for millions.
It helps you understand the daily struggle, doesn't it? You see international groups trying to coordinate aid, which is vital.
A lifeline, truly. But getting that aid through active conflict zones, it's incredibly risky for everyone involved.
A terrible situation made even worse by the threat of a harsh winter. It's like a humanitarian crisis layered on top of another crisis.
Precisely.
And Ukrainian families were already bracing themselves, preparing for potentially dark, cold weeks. Some are even making that incredibly hard decision to flee the cities, looking for somewhere safer.
Which just feeds into the larger refugee crisis, doesn't it? Millions affected, huge strain on neighboring countries. It just keeps growing the longer the war goes on.
And for the rest of Europe, well, the impact isn't abstract at all. Energy prices are climbing steadily because the conflict keeps disrupting those crucial supply chains.
Right, affecting households, economies, far beyond Ukraine's borders.
So what does this all mean for you listening? It's a really stark reminder, isn't it? That Russian missile hitting a power plant in Kyiv. It doesn't just cut off heat for a family there. It puts this almost invisible pressure on your household budget, too. It just shows how integrated and maybe how vulnerable our global energy markets are.
It's a chilling thought. Peace isn't just some abstract idea. It's the quiet stability that lets basic life function, even thousands of miles away.
Okay, let's transition now from the direct physical impact of conflict to another kind of battlefield, the digital one. This section really looks at how technology is being used, both by governments, for control, and by citizens pushing back for dissent. And it often leads to these intense clashes.
Yeah, this is a really interesting dynamic.
So our deep dive takes us first to Nepal. The government there suddenly banned social media.
Yeah.
Just banned it. And it exploded into these widespread protests.
Explode is the right word. And the reports are grim. Sources say police allegedly killed at least 19 people in clashes with demonstrators.
19 people, that's...
Yeah. And what's striking here is the clash of narratives. You've got the official government line saying, oh, this is about maintaining public order.
Right. But the public perception, completely different. They see it clearly as an attempt to just silence dissent, shut people up.
And you have to understand the context. Social media isn't just for holiday snaps anymore, is it? It's become this critical tool for organizing movements, getting information out, giving ordinary people a voice.
Well, absolutely. And the irony is, this ban might actually backfire. Seriously backfire.
How so?
Well, instead of stopping the unrest, it could end up fueling a movement for even more fundamental freedoms. People get pushed, they push back harder, right?
That makes sense. And our sources mentioned something interesting. Usually the international spotlight makes governments rethink these drastic moves. But so far, it seems Kathmandu is just doubling down, sticking to their guns, despite the global attention.
Which really makes you think about the impact on young people. For the younger generation in Nepal, being cut off from social media like that, it's not just losing a way to chat with friends. Our sources say it affects their identity and their future. It's how they connect, learn, see themselves in the world.
That's a profound point. It's woven into the fabric of their lives now, so the ban is particularly devastating for them.
Okay, moving to another part of Asia, India. There's been a major shift there too, legally speaking. They've empowered even local authorities now to demand social media takedowns. So lower-ranking officials get this power to police online content.
Wow, okay, that's significant. And the argument from some, I assume, is about controlling misinformation.
Exactly. The official line is often about stopping fake news. That's the justification given.
But the implications, they're huge, especially for free speech advocates. They must be deeply concerned because the more people who have that power, that unilateral power to demand content removal, the greater the risk, right? For ordinary citizens and definitely for protest movements trying to organize.
Definitely. And India is, well, it's the world's largest democracy. Hundreds of millions online. What happens there sets a massive precedent.
Precedent for other governments, yeah. Either towards more openness or, well, towards more control over digital spaces globally. It's a big test case.
And speaking of digital drama and precedents, let's turn to the U.S. Donald Trump is, unsurprisingly, back in the spotlight. A federal appeals court just upheld that huge $83 million defamation verdict against him.
83 million, that's a staggering number.
It is. And beyond the courtroom drama, he's also dealing with a lot online. Online trolls, new claims connecting him to the Epstein scandal. And our sources note that these FBI informant rumors and memes are just spreading like wildfire. Wild was the word used. It was a frenzy out there.
And that really highlights something, doesn't it? Political drama now. It's not just courtrooms and rallies anymore. It plays out so intensely online through hashtags, jokes, and yeah, often through misinformation that just spreads faster than anyone can fact check it.
It's a totally different landscape.
Yeah.
It fundamentally changes how political stories are built, how they're consumed, how people perceive things.
Absolutely.
And our sources touch on that big question. Will all these legal challenges actually hurt his potential 2026 election bid?
And the initial take seems to be
that his core supporters, at least, don't seem fazed. That's the quote. They're sticking with him through these battles.
interesting. So it brings us back to that core question for you, the listener.
Yeah.
How does this constant flood of information online, or sometimes the restriction of it, how does that affect your access to what's true and your ability to have your voice heard?
Yeah, this whole section just underscores how tangled up our digital lives are now with global politics and, frankly, human rights. It's unavoidable.
Okay, so from the digital battlefield, let's pivot again to these critical political moments. Crossroads, really.
Yeah.
Moments that are genuinely testing democratic institutions, testing accountability around the world.
Right. And our sources take us to Brazil for a key example. Yeah, Brazil recently saw huge crowds gathering, both for and against former President Jair Bolsonaro. This was all happening just before his Supreme Court verdict came down on those attempted coup charges. Pretty high stakes.
Extremely high stakes. And you see this stark division in the country playing out. His supporters are framing it all as a political witch hunt. That's their narrative.
While his critics are demanding accountability. saying, no, leaders have to answer for their actions.
It really feels like Brazil's democracy is at a critical moment, as the sources put it.
Absolutely. And the outcome of this verdict could genuinely set the tone for political transitions elsewhere in the world.
Especially concerning that style of leadership often called strongman politics, right?
Exactly. That emphasis on national strength, decisive action, sometimes sidestepping the usual democratic checks and balances. How democracies handle challenges from figures like that is a global question now.
It's a pivotal moment, yeah, not just for Brazil, but for how we think about accountability and political change everywhere.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What happens when leaders face these huge legal challenges? How does that actually impact the health, the stability of democracies?
These moments are really testing the foundations of governance, and the world is definitely watching.
It's true. And look, it's easy, maybe even natural, to get bogged down in all these heavy headlines we've just been talking about.
Mhm.
But this deep dive wouldn't be complete if we didn't also look for those glimmers of hope, those moments of humanity that are also defining our world.
That's crucial, isn't it, to get the full picture? These stories offer that important contrast. They remind us about progress, community, individual kindness, even when things seem bleak.
Right. So let's head to Canada first. There's some cautious optimism there on the economic front. New data shows retail sales are up more than 5%, which is leading to this tentative hope for businesses.
Tentative is probably the right word, given the warnings we still hear about global tariffs and economic uncertainty.
Oh, definitely. It's not all sunshine.
Yeah.
But it's a positive signal, however small, in a pretty complex economic landscape.
And beyond economics, there are other bright spots our sources picked up. In sports, for instance, Harmanpreet Kaur leading India to an Asia Cup cricket title, a moment of real national pride there.
Nice. And in Canada, something called the Motion Ball Marathon of Sport raised a lot of money for charity, showing that community spirit is alive and well.
Absolutely. But there's one story that really stands out as uniquely of our time. The Catholic Church just canonized a new millennial saint, the first of this digital age, apparently.
Wow, okay. A millennial saint. Tell me more.
Well, this individual was known specifically for using social media for evangelism, which is fascinating, isn't it? It shows how faith continues, adapts even as the world changes and new ways to communicate pop up.
A saint for the Instagram age. That's something else. Okay, but let's end on maybe a more everyday human story. It was captured in a viral baseball video. You might have seen it.
Oh, I think I know the one you mean. It started off a bit awkward, right?
Yeah, our sources described this initial tense confrontation. A father and son arguing over who got to keep a home run ball at a Major League Baseball game. You could just picture it, can't you? High emotions, prize souvenir, very public disagreement.
Yeah, definitely awkward. But then,
But then it turned into a sweet moment of generosity on the field. That's the quote.
right. The father, after that brief moment, just spontaneously gave the ball to a little girl nearby who'd also been hoping for it.
Exactly. And it just makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we see human nature surprise us in a good way?
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? That not all the news is doom and gloom. Humanity can genuinely surprise you with kindness, with generosity.
It provides that much-needed balance, I think, to the difficult stories that often grab all the attention.
Oh,
It's just so easy to let the weight of those big, heavy headlines define how we see everything. But these stories, these bright spots, these moments of community, these surprising acts of kindness, they're a crucial reminder that even with everything else going on, the human spirit is still there. It endures, and it keeps shaping our world, our individual lives, in really profound ways.
they offer more than just hope, I think. They offer a more complete, more nuanced picture of what's actually happening.
Totally agree. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Hmm.
wow, we've covered a lot. We journeyed through global conflicts that really shake your sense of security. We explored that complicated, shifting world of digital control versus dissent. We looked at critical political crossroads, challenging democracy itself. And then, thankfully, we found those glimmers of hope, of enduring humanity.
And it's clear, isn't it? These stories that seem so different on the surface, deadly protests, viral baseball moments, they actually offer really profound insights when you put them together. You get a much richer understanding than just, skimming the headlines.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads to a bigger question, doesn't it? In this age of constant headlines, information overload, how do we cultivate not just knowledge, but wisdom, empathy? to really understand the world?
That's a great question. It's more than just knowing facts, right? It's about seeing the connections, appreciating the nuances, understanding the impact on real human lives.
Exactly.
So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. As we navigate this world where information just spreads instantly, where the lines between fact and fiction or control and freedom seem constantly blurry, what responsibility do we each have? How can you, as someone curious enough to listen to this, make sure you're not just consuming information, but really engaging with it
Yeah.
critically, using it to understand the world and maybe your place in it more deeply?
Keep digging, keep asking questions.
Exactly. Keep exploring.
Mhm.
Stay curious, everyone, and we'll see you for the next deep dive.